You are Locked On Mets POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports New York on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Mets walk it off for the 11th time this season and push themselves closer and closer to that third wildcard spot in the National League. Welcome in to your Locked On Mets postcast. I am your host, Chris Schubert, and the Mets find a way to pull a rabbit out of their hat tonight and get a 2-1 victory over the Washington Nationals. It was another masterclass from Manaea, and it was the late inning heroics that pushed the Mets potentially one game in front of the Atlanta Braves. Today's postcast brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. It was a Marte parte in the 10th inning of this game tonight as the Mets somehow find a way to come back after being down 1-0, scratch a run across to tie the game, get what they need to get out of the bullpen, and the New York Mets find a way to win this baseball game 2-1 in 10 innings. And you felt like going into tonight's contest that the mood was a little somber, that there was a lot of maybe pessimism after what had happened over the weekend. Two opportunities slip away from the New York Mets this past weekend against the Phillies, an opportunity to not only win that series, but sweep that series and put a little bit of pressure on the Philadelphia Phillies. But you add on top of that the injury to Francisco Lindor, not in the lineup tonight. You worry about when he's going to be able to return. And you felt like you woke up today entering this important 3-game series with the Washington Nationals, and you felt like that this team, was dealt another gut punch. But this team tonight did what they always do, and what they have done time and time again this season is when they are dealt one of these blows, they get back up off the mat, they dust themselves off, and they land an absolutely perfect counterpunch. And tonight is no different. It is no different than when they started the year 0-5. It is no different when they had tough road trips in August. It is no different when they were 11 games below 500 earlier in the season. This team, every single time they have been knocked down, this team has picked themselves up and delivered a huge counterpunch. And tonight was another example of that. Just an absolutely perfect performance. Again, the offense goes a little cold, and that's going to be something to keep an eye on here over the next couple of days. But when they needed to have key at-bats, they had key at-bats. When they needed to have important plays on the base path, they got important plays on the base path. When they needed great defense, they got great defense. They had a rookie, Luis Angel Acuna, playing shortstop in the top of the 10th inning, and he had to make play after play after play to make sure that the Nationals didn't score. This team is just timely. It's not pretty at times. It's rather ugly at times. It stresses you out at times. But the New York Mets in 2024 have found a way when it has mattered most. And tonight on September 16th is no different. And just you look at the 10th inning, they get some quality defense from Luis Angel Acuna. You get a important inning of relief from Reed Garrett. And I found myself sitting there watching this game wondering, man, is Reed Garrett really the guy you want in this spot? It was talked about over the weekend when he was in there against the Phillies. Gary, Keith, and Ron talked about it on the broadcast. He's had an issue this year with inherited runners. You already have the runner on second base with the Manfred man. Is that really the situation that you want to dial up with the game on the line? But Reed Garrett came through, allowed the ball to be put in play. The defense behind him came up with some big plays, and they get out of it. And I was sitting there wondering, is Phil Maton potentially available? He might be a better option here, but Reed Garrett got the 3 outs that the Mets desired. They get to the bottom half of the inning. You get the important sacrifice fly from Francisco Alvarez, just takes the ball the other way, puts it to a deep part of the ballpark. You get to advance Harrison Bader as the pinch runner up to third, and then Starling Marte delivers, and he delivers their 11th walk-off of the year. And I believe I have this right from the broadcast. The 11th walk-off for the Mets this year. Now, their 10 before tonight was tied for second in all of baseball. So this team just, again, pulling rabbits out of their hat, being magicians out there. But I believe with this loss, it is the 11th walk-off loss for the Washington Nationals. So the Mets, one of the best in terms of walking it off, and the Nationals, one of the worst in terms of walking it off. And the Mets delivered when they absolutely needed it to, in a night where their offense was unfortunately non-existent. You look up and down, there's a lot of zeros. Jesse Winker didn't have a hit. JD Martinez 0 for 4. Pete Alonso with only 1 hit. Nimmo 1 for 3 and a walk. Vientos 0 for 4. They just seem to be stuck right now. But what a win like tonight does, at least in my opinion, is it galvanizes the group. And not like they needed it. They've done it time and time again. We did the laundry list a little bit ago of all the things that this team has been able to get up from. But when you're struggling offensively and you find a way to have that type of atmosphere, to have that type of moment at home in the middle of a playoff race, and I guarantee you those players were looking up at the scoreboard and saw that the Dodgers were giving it to the Braves, and they knew they win that game. It is a clean one-game lead for the New York Mets for the third wild card spot. And if you don't think that's going to energize that room, and having a win like that could potentially spark this offense to show up here over the next couple days in the final two games of the series against Washington, it's what this team has done, night in and night out, day in and day out. They have found a way to get it done. Again, it's not all pretty. There is some ugliness to it, but when you're at this time of year, these types of games, with the energy, the excitement, the importance of these games dialed up a little bit, you know what? You take them. You take them however the baseball gods want to deliver them to you, and you put the win in the win column. You say, hey, we've got 82 of them, and you get ready for the next one tomorrow. So just a absolutely perfect ending to the night for the New York Mets during a game that didn't feel like it was going to be the perfect ending. It felt like it was going to end in disappointment, just like it had done the last couple of days. But credit to this team. They always find a way, at least this 2024 version. They just seemingly find a way to, just when you're starting to let that doubt creep in of, oh, is this where the run ends? Is this where the wheels are going to fall off? They find a way to put together a night like tonight and get you kind of regalvanized here for what is going to be a very fun 2 weeks. We have a lot to discuss from tonight's contest, including another masterclass from Sean Manaea. We'll do that here on the other side. You've heard us talk about FanDuel a lot here on the Locked On Mets postcast and all across the Locked On family. America's #1 sportsbook, that is FanDuel. Well, a little something different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you could cancel at any time. Just imagine you wake up Sunday morning, you get your bets in over at FanDuel, you get ready to sit down for a nice slate of NFL action, and with this promo, you get an opportunity to have NFL Sunday Ticket for the next couple of weeks, and you are able to consume all of these games, bounce around for all these out-of-market games, and follow your bets. Well, guess what? Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Again, now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook. Let's talk about Sean Manaea, and the masterclass is what I have put in the graphic there, and that's what I would describe it. Just another excellent performance from Sean Manaea tonight. The final line, 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. He was every bit of the ace he has been the entirety of this season for the New York Mets. You think that he can't get any better, and then in a moment like this, he delivers that type of performance. Now, I will say, and I think I've talked about this on the Locked On Mets postcast before. And by the way, while you're here, while you're enjoying this post-game coverage of the Mets defeating the Nationals 2-1, do me a favor. Subscribe here to the Locked On Sports New York YouTube channel. Comment below, like the video, turn on that notification bell so you know that when we go live with these Locked On Mets postcasts. But you don't just have me. You got Jay Berman covering everything on the Giant side of things. I got you covered on the Jet side of things. We got the Knicks starting up here pretty soon. So you are going to want to be locked in here with Locked On Sports New York for all of your postcast needs. I'm watching this game, and again, I think I've talked about this before, but lately, with the struggles that the Mets offense is going through, you're watching this start tonight, and you feel like you've gone into a time machine. You feel like you're back in the early 2010s. It's like you're back in 2014, 2015, 2016, maybe a little bit of 2017. You've gone back in time, and you are watching the New York Mets when Jacob deGrom is on the mound. Just utter dominance, has the opposing team completely guessing, and yet you look up late in the game, and you're 6, 7, 8 innings deep, and the starting pitcher that's been dominant, that has done everything you've asked him to do, is losing, is going to leave the game on the wrong side. And that was what it was like tonight watching Sean Manaea. I felt like I was watching those Jacob deGrom starts where we will be pulling our hair out watching him just be dominant. How many times did the graphic get shown during the starts or get put on Twitter? Jacob deGrom has this many starts where he's allowed one run or fewer, and then the Mets' putrid record in those games gets thrown in our face by the beat reporters on Twitter or on the SNY broadcast. That's what I felt like I was watching tonight. I was watching dominance. I was watching a guy do what he's been doing for the entirety of the season, and a guy that just wasn't going to get the result that he so desperately deserved with that type of start in that type of moment. So he doesn't get the win, unfortunately, but the Mets don't lose this game. So their record in this start is a good thing for Sean Manaea, and they're able to pull through. But man, that's what I felt like. It just felt like, oh no, not this again, not this disappointment of a dominant start being, just cast aside. Because, and we're talking about Sean Manaea and the masterclass tonight, lowered his ERA, I think, to 3.26 on the season. And real quick, he's not going to win it. He's probably not going to be 1, 2, or 3. But Sean Manaea deserves some votes for the National League Cy Young. The amount of starts he's given this team, the excellence that he has given this team. I predict here on the Locked On Mets postcast that when we get to award season and they give out awards, it's not just going to be Francisco Lindor potentially getting some first place MVP votes and probably finishing runner-up to Shohei Ohtani in the NL MVP. You're going to see some votes. I don't know, first, second, third. I don't know where they're going to be, but Sean Manaea is going to receive some votes high up the leaderboard for the National League Cy Young. Hopefully the national media and the voters on this are paying attention to what Sean Manaea has been doing, because he has been excellent this year and deserves that recognition of getting some Cy Young votes. And I think he certainly will, especially with just the quality that he has given this team down the stretch here. I mean, 30 plus starts, and tonight 7 innings. And you knew going in, I was actually listening to the radio broadcast on my way home before turning over to the TV, and Howie Rose was talking that after he threw 100 plus pitches in his last start, that they're going to do this push and pull that they've been doing all year. They're going to kind of gear him down, and that he only had about 90 to 95 pitches in the arsenal tonight. And there are times where Sean Manaea has that one weird inning where he's throwing 26 to maybe 30 pitches, and that kind of throws his ability to go late in games out of whack. He gets 7 innings, goes 85 pitches. Thought there was a chance that Carlos Mendoza would ask him to get a couple more outs a la David Peterson in yesterday's game against the Phillies. But no, he had Jose Budo available tonight in the bullpen, was able to go to him for a really good inning out of the pen before he could bridge it to Edwin Diaz, who shut it down in the 9th to push us towards extra innings. But man, I don't know if there are words anymore for what Sean Manaea has been doing. And we can have the conversation later down the road about whether Sean Manaea should be on the 2025 New York Mets. But for the 2024 New York Mets, this guy has been an ace. When they lose their ace in the start of the season and they get one start out of their ace in Kodai Senga, they needed somebody to step up. They needed somebody to fill that void of every 5th day, you are going to have a guy that can take the ball and is going to get you a dub, is going to get you a victory, is going to give you a chance to beat the other team. And the Mets have more than one of those guys that has done that. But in terms of the consistency, Sean Manaea has been that guy for the entirety of this season, and just the tip of the cap in the highest of orders for Sean Manaea tonight to give this team this type of outing, and they reward him with what they're able to do late, and that they're able to push 2 runs across to find a way to win, to get to the magical 82-68, make sure that it'll be an above 500 season. And with the Dodgers 9-0 loss, or the Dodgers 9-0 victory over the Braves loss, the New York Mets have just squeaked a little 1-game lead over the Atlanta Braves for that 3rd and final wild card spot. We have a performance of the game, a new thing we're going to do here on the Locked On Mets postcast. So we have that and the final thoughts after the Mets defeat the Washington Nationals 2-1 in extras here on the other side. PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineup stays in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks, your picks are still alive. PrizePicks puts their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. All you got to do, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. The performance of the game, a new thing that we're going to do here on the Locked On Mets podcast, is we're going to shout out somebody who had just a big-time performance for the New York Mets. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of different people that you can give this to. So maybe we adjust this performances of the game. I just said all of the nicest things that you could say about Sean Manaea's performance tonight. So we'll give him one of the performances of the game. Maybe we'll take a page out of the hockey book, our 3 stars of the game. Sean Manaea is certainly going to get one of those 3 stars that we have to give out tonight. The other one, Starling Marte, for the walk-off hit. I mean, he had earlier in the game, in the 8th inning, I thought with a chance to potentially tie the game. He had a bad AB. Swung at the first pitch after coming in as a pinch hitter and thought he probably could have taken a couple pitches there, tried to work an at-bat and try to put something in play. But instead, he swings at the first pitch, kind of hits a grounder, and then ultimately Jose Iglesias has to bail this team out. And there is your 3rd star of this game, because let's talk about this, folks. Francisco Lindor told media today, at least a couple of days, 2 to 3, maybe 3 to 5. So probably rules him out for this Washington National Series. And I think the New York Mets view Washington as a team that they can probably beat handedly without Francisco Lindor, as long as they get this offense going a little bit. They feel like they can take care of business here against Washington, so they can let Francisco Lindor kind of sit on the sidelines and then hopefully have him ready to go with whatever treatment they're giving him for that Philly series, and then more importantly, that Braves series next week. And so with him being sidelined, a lot of this is going to fall on Jose Iglesias, who is already thrusted into a major role with Jeff McNeil out for the remainder of the season. So with him at short tonight, Eddie Alvarez plays second. And man, Jose Iglesias is just always doing the right thing. He's always just in the right spot, making the right play, having the tough AB, just doing the little things right. Is he going to wow you with the at-bats? Is he going to hit 106, 107 miles per hour in his exit velo? Is he going to, hit 25 to 30 home runs? No, he's not going to do those things. But you know what he is going to do? He is going to do all of the little things right. He is going to make you say, OMG, with some of the things that he's able to do just in terms of the little things. And tonight, you had multiple examples of the little things. Eddie Alvarez with a fantastic flip to Iglesias. And Iglesias is able to just drag that toe and have an opportunity to turn 2. They don't, but an opportunity to turn 2 because just, again, doing the little things right, being able to drag that toe and give yourself an opportunity. A ball hit to the deepest part of the ballpark in right field. Iglesias, being a heads-up base runner, takes that second base. It doesn't necessarily lead to things, but again, those little things stack up. And you know what? There will be moments. There have been moments throughout the year where those things pay dividends. He works a really great at-bat in the 8th inning to be able to just put the ball in play. Again, is it a super hard hit ball? Was the bat speed the greatest? Was it a home run in 29 to 30 ballparks? No, but he works a really tough at bat and then puts the ball in play, forces the pitcher to make a play. I believe it was Derek Law that was in the game at the time. Law has to make the play. It goes off of his glove. It's probably a base hit if Law doesn't get his glove on it. It squeaks by him behind the mound. Law's got to go out to make the play. Iglesias hustles up the line like he does every single time, and there's no opportunity for Law to make the play because he rushes and misses the ball. Taylor scores. We got a tie ball game. Whole new ball game where you're able to give the ball to Edwin Diaz, and he's able to shut things down in the 9th to push things to the 10th where the Mets are able to walk it off. That's just one play where Iglesias is able to do the little things. Again, put the ball in play, force this young Washington Nationals defense, this young Washington Nationals team to make a play. They couldn't. The Mets took advantage, seemingly like they always do, and boom, it's a whole new ball game in the 8th inning. Now, I will say, the New York Mets lately, these game scripts have been very similar. Pitchers duels early, and shout out to Jake Irvin, just a fantastic start tonight. He had the Mets completely confused. JD Martinez in particular, he goes 7 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run. I mean, he was stellar in the game tonight and really had the Mets guessing up at the plate. But a pitcher's duel early and just kind of scratching and clawing late. And tonight was a night where the Mets got those breaks to go their way, and more importantly, they got the bullpen stuff to go their way. Whereas the night before in Philadelphia, the bullpen stuff didn't go their way. And it's JT Realmuto walking it off. And so that's kind of how baseball goes. There's an ebb and a flow to it that, this Mets team has gone through. And they have more ups and downs. There are more flows than there are ebbs. but this team just seemingly finds a way to do it. And again, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. I'm sure you all were doing it when you're watching this game, but you are checking that scoreboard and you're keeping an eye on what the Dodgers are doing against the Braves, because you know that with the schedule that the Mets have, it's a game like tonight that is the golden opportunity for this team to just increase that lead and put more pressure on the Atlanta Braves ahead of that series next week, to put more pressure on the other teams in the National League wildcard race. Again, there's not a lot of opportunity on the schedule where you feel like it's a super advantageous matchup for the New York Mets. This series against the Washington Nationals was it. And so again, I don't want to spin a fairy tale that this was a perfect Mets performance in terms of all offense, just, bludgeoned the Nationals, got great pitching, bullpen was perfect. Every managerial decision was awesome. And it was just a perfect game for the New York Mets. Let's wrap this up. 7-minute post game. We can get out of here. No, it wasn't perfect, but it was 2024 New York Mets baseball at its finest. It was, we're going to have really great quality starting pitching. Our offense, you don't know what version of it you're going to get, but you do know this. We're going to grind it out with you. We are going to make you work for this victory. And you know what? If you open the door for us, we have a ton of talent on this team that is going to take those opportunities. It's going to take you opening that door, and we're going to kick the door down, and we're going to win baseball games. And that's what the Mets did tonight. Again, you look up and down the lineup. A lot of offers, a lot of guys that you need to step up right now. Jesse Winkers, JD Martinez, Pete Alonso, Brendan Nimmo. Nobody had a big hit. Nobody had a huge opportunity. Brendan Nimmo barely missed another home run. He's just peppering the right field bleachers to the right of the foul pole with foul balls right now. But Mark Vientos is struggling right now. 0 for 4. He almost beat out an infield hit that put the Mets on the board early. They are grinding it out. It is a struggle right now offensively. But a game like this, a performance like this, might be the thing that allows them to kind of relax a little bit and get back to the basics, just do the little things right. And you got a bunch of players on this team that have been doing the little things right. And again, you have Jose Iglesias making important plays out there in the field and having just good quality ABs. You have Luis Angel Acuna as a rookie playing defense in the 10th inning of a really important, you don't want to say must win because they've got 12 of them left, but a really important game. And he's handling it like he's a veteran, like he's been here for 10 years, that he's been a Met forever, just handling it with the calm, cool collectiveness. And I think that goes to show you the mentality of everybody in that room, that they really just have a really good feel, really good presence. And Francisco Lindor cheering his teammates up on the sideline, in the dugout, just, banging on the top rail of the dugout. They just are a well-coached, well-knit group right now, and they're finding ways. And you know what? It's not perfect. It's not pretty, but you'll take an ugly victory over a pretty loss any day of the week. And so the New York Mets end tonight as the third and final wildcard team in the National League. That is a great thing to do when your head hits the pillow tonight, considering how bad the weekend was for the New York Mets. We got another one of these tomorrow, so do me a favor. Make sure you are tuned into the Locked On Mets podcast. Brian Finkelstein will have even more coverage for what the New York Mets did tonight, looking at it from a bigger picture perspective with only 12 of these games to go. Do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell here for these Locked On Mets postcasts. We are back tomorrow to recap Nationals against the Mets game 2 as the New York Mets look to start a winning streak, start to really try to apply that pressure to the rest of the teams in the National League wildcard race. Appreciate everybody making this show a part of their day, whether it's post-game or you're listening to us afterwards in the podcast feed. And again, we've got another one of these tomorrow when the Mets take on the Nationals with Tyler Megill on the mound. So everybody have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.